I regretfully forgot my wallet again, so I asked if my friend could cover the bill. When my niece's school had an extended break, it became a routine for my single mother's sister-in-law and her daughter to stay at our house. Initially, I sympathized with her situation and believed in helping out, but over time, she began taking it for granted. One day, she insisted on going to a new outlet mall nearby, and reluctantly, I agreed. However, she conveniently forgot her wallet and demanded that I pay, frustrating me. Despite this, I didn't want to disappoint my sweet niece, who often went without due to their circumstances. Reluctantly, I covered the cost, insisting my sister-in-law repay me. Unfortunately, it didn't end there. On another occasion, my sister-in-law demanded another trip to the outlet mall, and this time, I was determined not to give in. My husband and I, in our 30s and married for 5 years without children, had discussed the possibility of infertility and decided to let things happen naturally. Our parents were supportive, understanding that not every couple follows the same path. Though still hopeful for children, we were planning our future without excluding the possibility of living without them. My younger brother, still single, once joked about having lots of kids for my share, seemingly unaware of our fertility discussions. Meanwhile, my husband's older sister, the sister-in-law in this story, was a single mother who regularly visited us during her daughter's school vacations. While I suggested alternatives, she insisted on staying, citing financial hardship. My niece, adorable and well-behaved, quickly became close to us, creating cherished summer memories at our house. As she entered middle school, the expenses began to mount with stationery, magazines, and fashion. Despite not wanting to interfere, my husband and I decided to give a generous middle school entrance gift. Touched by the thoughtful thank you letter, we looked forward to enjoying our separate vacations due to his work commitments. However, after Marine Day, my sister-in-law and niece unexpectedly arrived, announcing their month-long stay, reminiscent of previous years. I reminded her of our agreement to end these extended stays, but she brushed it off, saying, "I'll just stay in the room." Entering the room confidently, my sister-in-law remarked, "I've used it every year," while my niece hesitated, urged by her mother. My niece hurriedly brought their luggage, apologizing to me before settling in. My sister-in-law suggested a visit to a new nearby outlet mall, controlling the air conditioner and changing settings, expressing delight and not worrying about saving electricity while sipping on a chilled beer my husband had prepared. Frustrated, I called my husband, who couldn't leave work due to their unexpected visit. He asked me to handle his sister for the time being, promising to talk to her when he got home, even if it meant working late. Troubled by her unexpected stay, I couldn't ask him to leave work early. Reluctantly, I decided it was better to take my sister-in-law and niece to the outlet mall than to have them linger around the house. Seemingly interested, my niece nodded along with her mother's conversation, despite my reservations. I couldn't bring myself to ask her to endure it, especially considering she's my husband's relative. Unprepared for lunch and with unexpected guests, I reluctantly agreed to take them to the outlet mall. Acting for a bus due to the heat, my sister-in-law begrudgingly understood the situation. As we arrived at the outlet mall, she started fussing about forgetting her wallet. Her explanation about mistakenly putting her credit card back in her wallet didn't make sense. While I pondered her story, my niece looked momentarily disappointed but soon smiled, saying she's happy just looking around. Feeling sorry for my niece, I suggested covering today's shopping, estimating it wouldn't exceed $400 for 3 people. However, my sister-in-law seemed most delighted, eyeing expensive items from famous brands. I ended up playing the role of her wallet, using my credit card since I didn't have enough cash, demanding repayment as soon as we got home. My sister-in-law claimed she couldn't do it right away, citing a lack of cash and a forgotten bank card. When I suggested using her credit card's cash advance, she claimed her credit cards had expired, blaming a mix-up with a new one. I pressed her for proof, incredulous that she had allowed her cards to expire 3 months ago. She explained that she had panicked and switched wallets when her old one broke, making an honest mistake. She didn't want her in-laws to know about her financial struggles, having already burdened them with the divorce. I found it challenging to be too harsh with my sister-in-law, especially since she promised to repay me. Once back at her house during that summer, she stayed with us for about a month. While my niece eagerly helped with housework and expressed interest in cooking, my sister-in-law assumed a more demanding mother-in-law-like role, questioning the delay in lunch and criticizing our approach to saving electricity. My sister-in-law never contributed to housework and complained twice as much as anyone else. With her and my niece's presence, daily chores expanded to doing laundry for 4 people. When I mentioned the no air conditioning rule, complaints tripled. Frustrated, I asked my sister-in-law for help in hanging the laundry. But she dismissed it, insisting that being in the sun affected her skin and demanding an expensive sunscreen brand. After a month of enduring this, my sister-in-law finally left with my niece. However, when I asked her to repay the money she owed, she refused, claiming she couldn't do it before payday. Persistent in my demands, I eventually sent a certified letter as proof. When my niece discovered her mother hadn't repaid the money, she revealed that her mother had been receiving financial support from her ex-in-laws since the divorce. My niece promised to take responsibility and repay me from the financial support her mother received. She also expressed concern about her mother's increasingly sloppy lifestyle, embarrassing her. This situation fueled my anger towards my carefree sister-in-law. With my niece approaching high school and college expenses looming, I felt compelled to teach my sister-in-law a lesson. Taking advantage of the school break, my sister-in-law and niece stayed with us again. Immediately upon arrival, my sister-in-law demanded a trip to the outlet mall, claiming she needed winter clothes. Sensing a potential repeat of her carelessness, I had already contacted some allies. After about 2 hours of shopping, my sister-in-law called, admitting she forgot her wallet and requested I cover the cost. Half of me thought it was typical, while the other half was exasperated. Claiming that my niece wasn't feeling well, and we had already gone home, I declined to cover her expenses. Infuriated by her carelessness regarding her daughter, I emphasized that all she had to do was admit she didn't have enough money and return the items. Why did I have to cover the expenses for her shopping? Regardless, I needed to proceed with my plan. I informed her that I would be back soon after dropping my niece off at home. She questioned the time frame, and I mentioned I had just reached a new nearby bus stop, indicating it would take another hour using public transportation. Surprisingly, she accepted this without demanding a taxi, making me suspicious that she might be up to something. She likely didn't want to risk me not coming back if she complained too much. An hour later, I arrived at the designated store with my collaborators. My sister-in-law was there, arms full of clothes and bags, instructing the staff to add more items. It seemed she planned to shop even more while awaiting my return. When I greeted her with an apology for the delay, she was surprised to see familiar faces beside me. Alongside me stood my husband, who was supposed to be at work, and then my father-in-law appeared, changing my sister-in-law's expression from surprise to confusion. She stammered, questioning why my husband was there. In truth, I had informed him about her failure to repay the money, and he was aware of everything that had transpired. He had agreed with my plan and was actually at home on a day off, hiding in the bedroom when my sister-in-law arrived. I had followed our plan and told her he was at work, and she believed me without checking. After hearing the story from my niece, my husband agreed that we should inform his parents. We reported everything, including her extended stay and refusal to repay the money. When I explained our plan for the day to my in-laws, they were furious, saying it was outrageous. After separating from my sister-in-law at the mall, I immediately contacted them. My husband had driven ahead and waited for us. My niece and I left my sister-in-law and went to the parking lot where my husband was waiting to drive us to a hotel to meet my in-laws. They had planned to go on a short trip to a rural area, but they prioritized our situation over their trip and waited at the hotel. I felt bad that their plans were ruined, but they insisted on dealing with my sister-in-law's antics first. As planned, we left my niece with my mother-in-law at the hotel and returned to the outlet mall. When we confronted her, my sister-in-law furiously accused me of being cheeky for someone who was just a wallet to her. However, my husband and father-in-law took away all the clothes and bags she was holding. My husband retorted, "What are you doing? Don't return my clothes. They're not yours if you're not paying for them." My sister-in-law hesitated for a moment as my father-in-law returned the items to the store staff. My husband then dragged her out, and as he pulled her arm, she screamed, "It hurts. Let me go. Someone help. He's attacking me." Realizing she couldn't overpower him, she started accusing my husband of being a villain. My father-in-law, who had returned from explaining to the store, pulled out something from his jacket pocket. He was, in fact, a police officer. "I just happened to witness the incident," he explained, and everyone around us stopped listening to my sister-in-law's complaints. They pushed her into my husband's car parked in the lot. After reporting her actions to my in-laws, my father-in-law immediately checked her bank account. My niece knew where the passbook was, so they checked at my sister-in-law's house while she was away. The in-laws had been providing her with a monthly stipend, believing her claim of wanting to save the divorce settlement money for my niece's future. However, the entire amount was withdrawn on the day it was deposited, leaving a zero balance. The account in my niece's name, supposed to contain the divorce settlement, was almost empty because my sister-in-law didn't receive alimony due to her fault in the divorce. She also withdrew the child support from her ex-husband immediately after it was deposited. Furthermore, she confessed to not working, despite telling her parents she was. She spent her days leisurely using the support money and child support. The divorce settlement money she claimed to save for my niece was spent on her lifestyle. When it ran out, she planned to make me buy designer goods and sell them for cash. She even boasted about how well-known Target outlet items sold. My father-in-law hung his head in shame and apologized to us. Despite feeling sorry for my father-in-law, I showed them a video as evidence. It captured my sister-in-law red-handed. Whenever she and her daughter stayed with us, my husband's and my belongings mysteriously disappeared. It was too coincidental to happen every time, and more items vanished with each visit. Without proof, I couldn't accuse her, but I kept an eye on her. After she didn't repay the money I had fronted, I couldn't watch her all the time, so I installed hidden cameras in our rooms. Multiple times during her stay, she seemed to be searching our room when I was out. Finally, she began to blatantly steal. Just before leaving, there were times when she had checked the location many times and would go straight to her destination and steal what she was looking for. With practiced skill, she knew exactly where to go, swiftly taking specific items like my jewelry and my husband's luxury watch. The cameras caught her in the act, even capturing her face as she didn't notice them. My father-in-law, a police officer, was visibly furious, saying it's shameful to have a criminal in the family. He was overwhelmed with anger and sadness. When confronted, my sister-in-law brazenly claimed she had already sold the stolen items. My father-in-law instructed us to file a police report and submit the video as evidence. However, we were hesitant about turning in our own family. It's not a crime among names, right? We don't count someone who exploits kindness and repays generosity with evil as family, my husband said as he started the car engine. My sister-in-law asked, "Where are you taking me?" My father-in-law answered, To the police, obviously. She screamed as if it was the end of the world, begging us for mercy. She tried to destroy my phone, claiming it would erase the evidence, but I informed her it was just a copy and the original was safe at home. She resigned to silence when she realized she had no escape. She pleaded, "I'll repay the money, just don't take me to the police." It's not just a matter of getting your money back. The stolen items had sentimental value. It wasn't just about the money. My jewelry I bought with my first salary, gifts from my husband, and heirlooms from my late grandmother. The same went for my husband's luxury watch. But we worried about what would happen to my niece if her mother became a criminal. We thought my in-laws would take care of her, but it would hurt her to know her mother was a thief. So for my niece's sake, we proposed not to file a report if she kept her promise to repay us. My father-in-law agreed to ensure she kept this promise. She had to repay a set amount each month earned through her own labor. If she failed, we would immediately file a report. I told him that I had recorded the entire conversation as suggested by my father-in-law for evidence. My sister-in-law had no way to deny or forget what was said. She had no choice but to hang her head in the face of the reality that "I don't know. I didn't say it. I forgot" was no longer valid. Later, she was taken back to her parents' house by my father-in-law. We received an apology from my in-laws later. They admitted they have been too lenient due to their love for their granddaughter and their daughter's manipulations. They realized they had spoiled her too much and vowed to re-educate her strictly. My sister-in-law, who had always been pampered, thought it was her due. After getting engaged, she quit her job to become a housewife. Even though it was difficult to get a job again after the divorce, my sister-in-law herself confessed that she thought she was only working part-time, but in reality, she wasn't working at all. After her divorce, she didn't even attempt to work, saying she didn't want to be associated with unfashionable older women. My father-in-law, knowing she was too sheltered, arranged for her to work at a company owned by his acquaintance. The owner was strict but fair. She struggled with basic manners and language, and her salary was managed by my mother-in-law, used to repay us. My sister-in-law and her daughter moved out of the house left by her ex-husband and now live under strict supervision with her parents. My niece is becoming a more responsible person, helping her grandparents. She plans to stay with them during the winter break, but looks forward to visiting us during the spring break. My husband and I are excited for her next visit. As for my sister-in-law, regardless of any change in her, she is not welcome in our house. We both agree it's best to avoid unpleasant feelings.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a 32-year-old marketing manager living in Boston, and what I'm about to share still feels surreal. You won't believe how amazing Sarah is. Mike finally found the perfect woman. I told Jessica over coffee 3 years ago, back when my brother first introduced us to his fiancée. She seems sweet, but something feels off, Jessica said, stirring her latte. Come on, Jess, you're just being overprotective. Sarah's different. Oh, how wrong I was. The first red flag appeared just 2 months after their wedding. Emmy, sweetie, I have this super important client meeting. Could you watch the kids for a few hours? Sarah, I have a presentation in an hour. Please? I already dropped them off with your building's doorman. You're the best. That's how it started. Random drop-offs became weekly occurrences. Her 3 kids, Tommy, 8, Lisa, 6, and little Jake, 4, were adorable. But I never signed up to be their emergency babysitter. You're their aunt. Family helps family, Sarah would say whenever I protested, layering guilt into every word. During one of our weekly meetups at Tom's Cafe, I finally vented my frustrations. You need to set boundaries, Tom said, setting an extra muffin in front of me. I've tried, I groaned. But then she runs to Mike crying about how I'm refusing to help with family emergencies. That's manipulation, Amy, Jessica chimed in. And your brother's enabling her. Things only got worse when Sarah's mother, Karen, moved closer. They became a tag team of guilt and demands. A good sister-in-law would be grateful to spend time with her nieces and nephew. Karen scolded me at a family dinner. And in my day, I shot back. People asked before dumping responsibilities on others. Last week, I finally snapped. I put together a schedule, setting clear boundaries for when I could actually help. "This is ridiculous," Sarah scoffed, tossing my carefully made schedule aside. "We're family, not some business arrangement." "Exactly, and that's why we need boundaries. I love the kids, but I have my own life." "Your own life?" She folded her arms. "Please. All you do is work and hang out with Jessica and Tom. It's not like you have a husband or kids to worry about." That stung, but I stood my ground. "My time is still valuable, Sarah. If you need me to watch the kids, I need at least 24 hours notice." She glared at me, pulling up her phone. "You've changed, Amy. You used to be so helpful." "No, Sarah. I just stopped letting you take advantage of my kindness. I thought that was the end of it. I had no idea things were about to escalate dramatically." 2 weeks later, at our weekly family dinner, Sarah beamed as she clinked her wine glass. "Mike surprised me with a 2-week trip to Hawaii. Isn't that amazing?" Everyone congratulated her, but I knew something was coming. Then she turned to me, smiling sweetly. "And you'll get to spend some quality time with the kids while we're gone. I already told my boss you'd be watching them." The room fell silent. Jessica nearly choked on her wine. Tom stopped mid-bite. "You did what?" I placed my fork down slowly. "Well, obviously someone needs to watch them. You work from home, right?" I stared at her, pulse pounding. "Sarah, I can't take 2 weeks off. I have critical meetings, presentations, but we already booked the tickets." Sarah's voice rose in pitch, her eyes darting toward Mike. "Tell her." My brother shifted uncomfortably. "Amy, can't you help us out? Just this once." "Just this once." My laugh was hollow. "She dumps the kids on me weekly. Hire a proper babysitter." Sarah shot up from her chair. "A stranger? With my babies?" She turned dramatically. "Karen, can you believe this?" "You're being very selfish, Amy." Karen chimed in from across the table, shaking her head. "Family should come first. I have helped plenty, but 2 weeks is excessive. I have responsibilities." Sarah scoffed. "Responsibilities?" Then with a mocking laugh. "Oh, you mean playing office all day while real mothers handle real work?" "That's enough." Tom's voice cut through the tension. "Amy's career isn't a game." Sarah's head snapped toward him. "Stay out of this," she spat, grabbing a knife from the table. "You're part of the problem, always taking her side." "Sarah, put the knife down," Jessica warned, pulling out her phone. Sarah sneered. "Or what? You'll record me?" Little Miss Perfect, always needing protection. I stood slowly, keeping my hands up. "Let's talk about this calmly." Sarah's eyes darkened. "I'll show you calm." Everything happened in slow motion. The knife left her hand, whizzing past my ear and embedding itself in the wall behind me. Jessica screamed. Tom lunged forward. Karen gasped. "Oh my God." "Sarah." Mike finally reacted, scrambling to his feet. "What are you doing?" Sarah was breathing hard, her hands shaking. She made me do it. She's always undermining me, making me look bad." Jessica was already dialing 911. "Are you insane?" Sarah shrieked. "Don't you dare call the police." Mike snatched Jessica's phone. Amy provoked her. Tom's voice was incredulous. "By refusing to babysit?" "Get out!" Sarah screamed. "All of you, get out of my house." The next morning, despite Karen's tearful calls and Mike's angry texts, I filed a police report. "She could have killed you," Tom said grimly as he walked me into the station. Hours later, Karen's Facebook post appeared. "Heartbroken. How money and career corrupt family values. Some people forget blood is thicker than water. Pray for my daughter-in-law Sarah, victim of cruel sister-in-law jealousy." The comments flooded in. "Poor Sarah. Some women are just bitter. Families should stick together." Jessica screenshot everything. "Evidence," she said grimly. "This isn't over." She was right. But none of us expected what came next. Tom slid a folder across the cafe table. "My friend at the PI firm found something interesting." I flipped through the pages, my hands starting to shake. "Police reports. Workplace incidents. restraining orders. 3 different jobs in 2 years, each ending in a mutual separation agreement. Tom's hand brushed mine. Keep reading. Jessica set down her laptop. We tracked down her former coworker, Linda. She's willing to talk. That evening, the Zoom call left me cold. Linda's expression was grim. Sarah threw a stapler at our supervisor. The company buried it to avoid bad press. I quit the next day. Did anyone file charges? I asked. Linda hesitated. The supervisor was too scared. Sarah's mother, Karen, she's got connections, makes things disappear. Days later, Jessica's a friend made another discovery. Look at these credit card statements. She pointed at her screen. 7 cards. Maxed out. Over $100,000 in debt. All hidden from Mike. How did she keep this from him? Separate mailing address. Her mother's house. My phone buzzed. Another text from Sarah. You'll regret this. Nobody believes the bitter single sister. Screenshot everything, Tom advised. His hand rested lightly on my shoulder. Amy, I need to tell you something. I've cared about you for a long time. Seeing you go through this. Before he could finish, my phone rang. Sarah's current workplace. Miss Walker, we're investigating an incident involving Sarah. Multiple employees have come forward after hearing about your police report. That afternoon, social media exploded. Karen's damage control backfired spectacularly. Sarah's always been misunderstood, she posted. These allegations are from jealous coworkers. Linda commented almost immediately. Misunderstood. Like when she threatened to push Jan down the stairs. Then more flooded in. She threw hot coffee at our intern. Remember the parking lot incident? Karen paid off my medical bills to keep quiet. Each revelation cracked the wall of silence. Tom held me as I processed it all. You're not crazy, Amy. You never were. All those times she made me doubt myself. I exhaled. She's good at manipulation. But it's ending now. Sarah's work finally took action after security footage leaked. Jessica smirked. She's on administrative leave. The investigation is official. Mike's name flashed on my phone. For once, I let it ring. You don't owe him answers, Tom said softly. You don't owe any of them anything. I nodded. I just can't believe I never saw it before. Abusers are clever. Tom's fingers laced through mine, but they always slip up eventually. That evening, as Sarah's carefully crafted image crumbled, I felt no joy, just relief. The truth was finally coming out. We're not done, Jessica warned. Karen's still trying to spin this. I leaned into Tom's embrace. Let her try. A notification popped up. Sarah's company. We are launching a full investigation into multiple serious allegations. The house of cards was falling, and I was finally free. 6 months later. 6 months in county jail, Tom read from the court document, plus 5 years probation. The courtroom emptied slowly. Sarah's face was ashen as they led her away, her designer outfit replaced by handcuffs. Don't let them take me. Mike, do something, she screamed. But Mike stood frozen, clutching papers from their divorce attorney. Evidence of $200,000 missing from their joint accounts. How could you? Mike's voice was raw as he confronted Karen in the courtroom hallway. Our savings. The kids' college funds. Karen clutched her purse, her face pale. This is a mistake. My daughter would never. Linda spoke up from the gallery. Would never what? Throw a knife? Assault coworkers? Karen flinched, but the judge's words still echoed in my mind. A pattern of violent behavior, financial fraud, a risk to society. That evening, my phone buzzed with messages from family members. We had no idea Karen covered up so much. I can't believe we blamed you, Amy. Sarah fooled us all. I silenced my phone. Not tonight. Instead, I focused on the dinner celebration with Tom and Jessica. To your promotion, Tom raised his glass. Head of digital marketing. And to karma. Jessica smirked, clinking her glass against mine. To new beginnings, I added, squeezing Tom's hand. The custody hearing had been brutal. Sarah's history of violence, the financial fraud, the documented outbursts. It all came out. Primary custody awarded to the father, the judge ruled. Supervised visitation only upon release and completion of anger management. Karen's reputation crumbled. More family members cut contact. Even her own sister publicly denounced her. Enabling abuse isn't love, she wrote. You help destroy lives. Mike appeared at my office one afternoon looking haggard. Amy, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I met his eyes. Yes, you should have. He exhaled, rubbing his face. The kids miss their aunt. I softened, but only slightly. Mike, I love those kids, but I need time. A lot of time. He nodded, understanding finally settling in his eyes. Tom moved in last month. His cafe now supplies our office's catering, where I just got promoted to director. Remember when Sarah said you just played office? Jessica laughed over our weekly coffee meetup. Now she's learning real consequences, Linda added, having become a close friend. The restraining order arrived yesterday. 5 years. Protecting me. Tom, Jessica. Sarah's face in court when her past victims testified. Priceless. Karen still posts occasionally. A mother's love knows no bounds, fighting this injustice. But now, people respond with newspaper clippings. Sarah's crimes, workplace violence reports, court documents. The truth won. Not through revenge, through justice. Yesterday, I visited the kids. Mike's new girlfriend, a kind kindergarten teacher, welcomed me. She actually asked before making plans. Later that night, Tom and I watched the sunset from our balcony. Sometimes bad things lead to good endings, he mused. I smiled. Not endings, new beginnings. Sarah has 5 more months in jail. Karen lost her social standing. But me? I'm thriving. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. And boy, am I living well. What would you do if you were Amy? When Mike came to apologize, would you give him another chance? Or would you maintain strong boundaries, even if it meant losing contact with your nieces and nephew? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever had to make tough choices about toxic family members, your story might help someone else. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming toxicity and finding strength in setting boundaries. Hi, I'm Teresa. Looking back on that spring afternoon during my sophomore year of college, I wish I'd seen the warning signs. I was 19, focused on my psychology major, and living at home to save money. Life was pretty normal, until my parents dropped a bombshell over Sunday dinner. Teresa, sweetie, we need to discuss something important, Mom began, her voice unnervingly sweet, the kind of tone she uses when she's about to say something I won't like. Marcus and Diana's daughter Katie is going through some family troubles, she said. She needs a place to stay for a while. I nodded, assuming they meant the guest room. Sure, that's fine. Dad cleared his throat. Well, Katie needs a proper bedroom. She's still in high school, and we think she'd be more comfortable in your room. My fork clattered against my plate. What? Where am I supposed to sleep? The garage is insulated, Mom said brightly. We can set up a nice space for you there. You're in college now, Teresa. You need to learn to be more accommodating. That night, I called my best friend Ashley and my cousin Emma on a 3-way call. They're making me move to the garage for some kid I've never even met. That's messed up, Ashley said. Your parents are seriously choosing their friend's kid over you. Emma chimed in. I get that Katie's parents are their friends, but still the garage? That's just wrong. The next day, Katie arrived. She looked like the Disney Channel version of a troubled teen, perfectly styled hair, expensive clothes, and a practiced sad smile. My parents hovered around her like she was made of glass. Teresa, help Katie settle in, Mom ordered, as I watched them haul my things to the garage. Your room is so cute, Katie gushed, running her fingers over my corkboard of photos. Oh, but these pictures are kind of childish. Mind if I take them down? Before I could respond, she was already pulling at my memories, accidentally tearing my favorite photo of Ashley and Emma. Oops. Sorry. She didn't sound sorry. Good thing you're moving to the garage, she added with a smirk. Now I can make this room more mature. That night, lying on a makeshift bed between boxes of Christmas decorations and Dad's old golf clubs, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ashley. Something's not right about Katie. She's giving me bad vibes. Seconds later, Emma replied. Did some digging. Katie's family troubles might not be what they seem. Want me to investigate? I stared at my phone, remembering Katie's smirk as she tore my photo. Yes, I typed back. Find everything you can. 2 weeks into my exile, I caught Katie in the kitchen talking to Mom. I'm just so worried about Teresa, she said softly, her voice trembling with fake concern. She seems so angry lately. Yesterday, she practically slammed the door when I tried to talk to her. I hadn't slammed any doors. I've been avoiding her entirely. Mom nodded sympathetically. It's just really hard, Katie continued, dabbing at non-existent tears. I thought we could be like sisters, but she keeps giving me these hostile looks. Maybe this was a mistake. I could try finding somewhere else. No, sweetie, Mom rushed to assure her. Teresa just needs to adjust her attitude. I'll talk to her. That talk turned into a lecture about being more welcoming and less selfish. When I tried to explain Katie's behavior, Mom shut me down. She's been through so much with her family situation. But Emma's investigation told a different story. Teresa, Katie's lying, Emma told me during a secret coffee shop meeting. I talked to my friend who went to her old school. There's no family trouble, her parents are fine. She's pulled similar stunts at 2 other friends' houses. Ashley, who had been furiously documenting everything in her notebook, leaned forward. It's a pattern. Every time you're out, Katie had been slowly destroying my life under the guise of accidents. First, my laptop mysteriously fell off my desk. Then, my textbooks were ruined when a conveniently leaky water bottle drenched them. My remaining photos? They disappeared because the wind supposedly blew them away. The garage itself had become a nightmare. Random puddles appeared near my bed, and the heating malfunctioned on the coldest nights. We need more evidence, Emma said, showing us texts from Katie's old school friend. Look at this. Katie's done this before, manipulating parents into taking her in, pushing out their kids, and moving on when the truth starts to catch up with her. Ashley leaned forward, phone in hand. Watch this. She pressed play on a video she'd recorded in the garage. It showed Katie deliberately pouring water near my bed, then running to my parents to claim there was a leak that might damage their precious storage boxes. Dad's response, moving my bed to an even colder corner of the garage. I'm done being the bad guy in her story, I said, glaring through the kitchen window where Katie played the perfect houseguest, helping Mom with dinner. That evening, Katie came to the garage with her signature fake concern. Teresa, your mom wants you to join us for dinner. She's worried you're isolating yourself out here. She glanced at Ashley and Emma, her smile tightening. Oh, were you having a private meeting? I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Her tone was sweet, but her eyes carried a warning. She knew we were on to her. Emma's detective work was paying off. We uncovered the truth about Katie's past through old friends and families who had hosted her before. Here's the Thompson family, Emma said, pointing to her laptop. Katie stayed with them, claiming her parents were divorcing. Then the Wilsons, she said their house had black mold. And the Camerons, she claimed her parents were temporarily relocating for work. But her parents never moved or divorced. I added, my anger simmering. Ashley played more recordings she'd secretly made. In one, Katie told my mom her family was dealing with financial troubles. In another, she mentioned a terminal illness. Each story contradicted the last. We have enough proof, Ashley said firmly. It's time to show your parents. The confrontation went as disastrously as I expected. I laid out everything, the families, the inconsistencies, the deliberate sabotage of my things. Mom and Dad sat in silence until Mom finally spoke. I can't believe you're so jealous that you'd make up these lies, she said, shaking her head. Katie warned us you might do this. Of course she did. I exploded. She's manipulating you. Dad stood up, angry. That's enough, Teresa. Katie's going through a difficult time, and instead of helping, you're inventing conspiracy theories. Right on cue, Katie appeared, tears already streaming down her face. I heard everything, she whispered. I knew Teresa hated me, but I never thought she'd make up such horrible stories about my family. The next day, my psychology project, a presentation worth 40% of my grade, was corrupted on my laptop. Katie had been alone in a garage earlier, supposedly looking for cleaning supplies. Looks like your computer caught a virus, she said, her fake sympathy as sharp as a knife. Maybe keeping it in the garage wasn't such a good idea. All that dust and moisture. That was the last straw. Ashley and Emma helped me set up hidden cameras, one in the garage, 2 in common areas, and a pin-sized one on my backpack. Emma borrowed audio recorders from her journalism class. Let's catch her red-handed, Ashley said as we placed the final camera. She can't lie her way out of video evidence. Be careful, Emma warned. My research shows she gets nasty when cornered. The Cameron's daughter ended up with a broken arm in a suspicious accident. I looked around at my makeshift bedroom, the water-stained books, the ruined project. Let her try. I'm done being her victim. Katie didn't disappoint. Over the next few days, the cameras caught everything, her sneaking into the garage at night, damaging my things and smirking as she spun sob stories to my parents. One clip even showed her on the phone, boasting about how she manipulated her way into our house. The real bombshell came during the monthly neighborhood dinner at our house. Everyone was there, including Katie's parents, Marcus and Diana. Katie was in rare form, playing the part of the perfect, troubled teen. Ashley nudged me under the table and passed me her phone. "Watch this," she whispered. The video showed Katie in my room, pacing while on a call. "Can you believe these idiots?" she said, laughing. "They actually put their daughter in the garage, just like the Thompsons and the others. Parents are so stupid. They'll believe anything if you cry enough." I give it another month before I found my next words. I stood up, my hands trembling. "Everyone needs to see something," I announced. Despite my parents' protests, I plugged Ashley's phone into the TV and hit play. The room fell deathly silent as Katie's true face emerged on screen. Hours of footage rolled, her sabotaging my belongings, lying to my parents, and bragging in phone calls about her manipulations. Katie's mother, Diana, turned ghostly pale. "Katie, what is this?" "It's obviously fake," Katie stammered, her voice rising in panic. But Emma wasn't done. She pressed play on the audio recordings, Katie spinning different stories about her troubled family to various people. Each lie contradicted the last. "We contacted the other families," I said firmly. "The Thompsons, the Wilsons, and the Camerons. They confirmed everything." The aftermath was explosive. Katie's mask shattered, and she started screaming, her carefully crafted facade disintegrating before everyone's eyes. Her parents looked horrified, especially as the depth of her manipulations became clear. "She needs professional help," Marcus, her father, said, his voice unsteady. "This ends now." Within days, Katie was enrolled in a therapeutic boarding school. The community's reaction was swift and damning. Neighbors who had once looked at me with disapproval now couldn't apologize enough. As for my parents, they tried too. "Teresa, we're so sorry," Mom sobbed one evening. "We should have believed you." I stared at her, calm but resolute. "You chose a stranger over your own daughter. You put me in the garage. You called me a liar and jealous. Some things can't be fixed with an apology." Emma had already offered me her spare room. "Stay with me while you finish college," she insisted. "No garages, no manipulation, no drama." I moved out the next day. My parents kept calling, sending messages, even showing up at Emma's place with my old room key. "We've kept your room exactly as it was," Dad pleaded. "Please, Teresa, we'll do anything to make it right." "You already did everything," I replied coldly. "You showed me exactly who you are and where I stand with you. I'm not interested in a relationship with people who could treat their daughter that way." Looking back, exposing Katie was almost worth the pain, almost. She lost her perfect reputation, her victims were validated, and her parents finally saw her for who she was. My parents, however, lost something far more valuable: their daughter's trust and respect. As for me, I'm thriving. Living with Emma, my grades have recovered, and I'm excelling in my psychology major, with a focus on manipulative behavior. The garage may have been cold, but it taught me the warmth of standing up for myself and choosing my own family. My story went viral on social media, and I've connected with others who faced similar betrayals. Together, we're building a support network to help people recognize and protect themselves from manipulators like Katie. My parents still reach out every few months. Last week, I received an email from them. "The house feels so empty without you," it read. I marked it as read, then closed the tab. Some say forgiveness is the key to moving forward, but I disagree. Sometimes moving forward means leaving toxic people behind, even if they're family. The strongest move isn't always about getting even. Hi, I'm Deborah. Life-changing moments, they don't announce themselves. For me, it was 8 years ago on what was supposed to be a carefree family ski trip. I was 18, fresh out of high school, thinking I had everything figured out. Funny how certainty crumbles in an instant. Just one more run before sunset. I called to my parents from the top of the slope. Mom was fussing with her goggles while Dad checked his phone, as usual. They waved me off with distracted smiles, unaware it would be the last time they saw me standing. I didn't see the ice patch. One moment, I was flying down the slope, wind in my face. The next, darkness. When I woke up in the hospital, the words hit me like a second crash. Paralyzed from the waist down. At 18, but the real pain came later, watching my parents' faces change over the weeks that followed. "We're just stepping out for coffee, honey," Mom would say, staying away longer each time. Dad barely met my eyes, muttering excuses about insurance and work. Only my brother, Carl, stayed. He'd camp out by my bedside, his laptop balanced on his knees, working remotely. "Those physical therapy bills won't pay themselves," he joked, but I saw the lines of worry deepening on his 24-year-old face. "They're just processing everything," Carl reassured me when I asked why our parents' visits grew shorter. "Give them time." Time revealed the truth. One morning, a nurse handed me a letter, Mom's elegant handwriting spelling out devastation. "We can't handle this, Deborah. We never signed up for a disabled daughter. The insurance will cover your medical bills. Carl will handle the rest." I stared at the words, my chest hollow. Later that day, Sophia, my best friend since middle school, stormed into my room to find me clutching the letter. "Those cowards couldn't even say it to your face." She spat, her hands trembling as she read it. "What kind of parents just leave?" I asked through tears. "The kind who don't deserve you," Carl said, stepping into the room with a fierce determination. "I've already called work. I'm taking over as your primary caregiver. But your career in SIL," I protested, "can be managed remotely. Besides, Sophia's tech startup idea needs a financial advisor, right?" Sophia's eyes brightened. "Our accessibility app. Deborah, you're still the best coder I know. Chair or not, your brain is what we need." That was 8 years ago. Today, our company, Access Tech Solutions, is transforming lives for people with disabilities. Carl manages finances, Sophia oversees operations, and I lead development. We're proof that family isn't always blood. "Miss Chen, your 2 o'clock appointment is here." My assistant's voice crackles through the intercom. "Thanks, send them in." I reply, turning my wheelchair toward the door. It opens and my heart stops. Standing there, looking older but unmistakably them, are my parents. "Hello, Deborah," Mom says softly. "You look successful," Dad adds with a strained smile. I grip the armrests of my wheelchair, steadying myself against the surge of anger and grief. 8 years of abandonment meet 2 desperate faces. The game they're playing is written all over them. Let the real story begin. Minutes after they leave, Sophia bursts into my office. "I saw them in the lobby. Please tell me you didn't fall for whatever sob story they fed you." I stare at the business card Mom left behind. "They want to have dinner tonight, to explain everything." "Absolutely not," Carl's voice booms from my speakerphone. "Not without me there." "They said they've regretted their decision every day for 8 years. I murmur, the words tasting bitter. How convenient their regret surfaces right after Access Tech makes Forbes 30 under 30, Sophia says, her fingers flying over her tablet. "Wait a sec. Here we go." She turns the screen toward me. "Your parents' social media accounts." My stomach tightens as I scroll. Photos of yacht parties in Monaco, skiing in the Alps, wine tasting in Tuscany. But one post freezes me in place. "Look at this poor deer trying to wheel through cobblestones," reads the caption under a photo of a person in a wheelchair struggling on a Parisian street. So glad we didn't burden ourselves with that life. The air feels heavy. "There's more," Sophia says quietly. More mocking captions, more celebrations of their freedom, more proof they never changed. "Miss Chen, your parents are insisting on speaking with you again," my assistant says, her voice tinged with concern. Before I can respond, the door bursts open. Mom's perfectly composed face now looks strained, and Dad's designer suit is rumpled. "Deborah, honey, we need to talk." Privately, Mom glances pointedly at Sophia. "Anything you need to say, you can say in front of my family," I reply, emphasizing the word. It makes them flinch. Dad steps forward, his posture stiff. "We've hit a rough patch. Some investments went wrong." "How much?" I ask flatly. 2 million, he admits, his voice barely above a whisper. But it's not just about money. We really do want to make amends. Really? I say, pulling up their social media posts on my computer screen. Is that why you mocked disabled people online? To make amends. Mom's face drains of color, and Dad stumbles over excuses. Get out, I whisper, then louder. Get out. You don't understand. Mom pleads. Those posts. We were hurting. Hurting. Carl's voice booms as he strides into the room, clearly having broken every speed limit to get here. You want to talk about hurting? Try watching your teenage sister learn to live without her legs while her parents walked away. We're still her parents. Dad tries to stand his ground. No, Carl says coldly, stepping between them and me. You're just opportunists who see a cash cow in the daughter you abandoned. Now, get out before I call security. They leave, but not before Mom turns back, her voice brittle. We're not giving up, Deborah. We'll prove we've changed. After they're gone, Sophia holds up her phone. They've been contacting other successful entrepreneurs with disabilities. Same story, estranged parents seeking reconciliation. Always right when their kids hit peak success. They won't stop, will they? I ask, exhaustion seeping into my voice. Carl puts a steadying hand on my shoulder. No, but neither will we. Sophia's eyes gleam with determination. The Disability Tech Conference is next month. They'll definitely try something there. I glance between my brother and best friend, feeling the fire reignite inside me. Then let's be ready. The Disability Tech Conference is the biggest event in our industry. Normally, I'd be excited, but as I watch my parents work the room from my spot near the stage, all I feel is disgust. They're good, I'll give them that. They've convinced half the room they're devoted parents of a disabled entrepreneur, Sophia whispers, pretending to check my presentation slides. I watch Mom dab fake tears while chatting with a potential investor. Did you get everything? I ask. Oh yeah, Sophia pulls out her phone. Every conversation they've had this week, including the one where they called you their meal ticket at the hotel bar last night. Mrs. Chen is quite the actress, my assistant comments, wheeling over. She just told a Bloomberg reporter how she spent years helping you adapt to your wheelchair. Funny, since she wasn't even in the country. Carl approaches, adjusting his tie. I've got something better. Remember Jeremy Wong, the developer who turned them down last month? Turns out they pulled the same routine with 3 other disabled entrepreneurs. Jeremy's got signed statements from all of them. Your parents have been running the sympathy scam for over a year. Mom spots me and waves enthusiastically. Deborah, darling, come meet Mr. Patterson. He's fascinated by your journey. Showtime, I mutter, wheeling over. I was just telling Mr. Patterson how we've supported you every step of the way. Mom gushes. Really? I reply, my voice icy. Tell him about the steps I took in Paris. Her face freezes. You know, when you photographed and mocked a disabled person struggling with cobblestones. Mr. Patterson's eyebrows shoot up. That's not, we were in a bad place then, Dad stammers. Like when you were in Monaco or Tuscany? I retort, pulling out my tablet. Would you like to see their social media posts, Mr. Patterson? They're quite enlightening. This is hardly the place, Mom hisses, her composure cracking. You're right, the stage would be better. I wheel toward the podium. My keynote starts in 2 minutes. Deborah, please, Dad says, grabbing my wheelchair. Bad move. Take your hands off my chair, I say loudly enough for heads to turn. Unlike my legs, my voice works perfectly, and I'm not afraid to use it. Security approaches as Carl steps in. Is there a problem here? No problem, Mom says, her voice suddenly sugary sweet. We're just having a family discussion. Family? I laugh bitterly. Let's talk about family. Let's talk about how you abandoned your paralyzed teenage daughter. How you mocked disabled people online while living it up in Europe. How you only came back when you needed money. A crowd gathers. Phones are recording. You're twisting everything. Dad protests weakly. Sophia steps forward, her phone playing the hotel bar recording. Once we get the money from our crippled cash cow, we can finally retire properly. Gasps ripple through the crowd as Mom's mask shatters completely. My keynote today was supposed to be about overcoming challenges, I say, addressing the stunned audience. I think I'll talk about recognizing toxic people instead, starting with the ones who see their disabled daughter as nothing more than a bank account. You'll regret this, Mom hisses under her breath. I wheel onto the stage ramp, my voice steady and clear. No, Mom. The only thing I regret is ever thinking I wasn't enough. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a speech to give. As security escorts them out, I catch Carl and Sophia's proud smiles. The real show is about to begin. My conference speech was viral overnight. Hashtag toxic parents and hashtag disability rights trend for days. But the real storm hits when journalists dig deeper. Another family has come forward, Sophia announces, dropping a tablet in my lap. Their disabled son was approached by our parents 3 months ago. Same story, same sympathy play, same attempt to get investment money. How many does that make now? I ask, scrolling through the article. 7 confirmed cases, Carl says, looking up from his laptop, plus dozens of suspicious connections. Their reputation is completely destroyed. My phone buzzes. Mom again. Her desperate voicemails have grown increasingly hostile over the past week. I press play on the latest one. You've ruined us. Her voice crackles through the speaker. We're your parents, we gave you life. And I gave you consequences, I murmur, blocking their number for the final time. Speaking of consequences, Sophia grins, pulling up a news site. Your parents' business partners want nothing to do with them. That investment firm your dad worked with, they've cut all ties. Their social circles have abandoned them too, Carl adds. Turns out rich people don't like being associated with publicly exposed toxic parents. Who knew? A notification pops up on my screen. A message from Jeremy Wong. They're selling their house, I say, reading aloud. Moving to some small town in Idaho. Guess Monaco's off the table now. Good, I say, feeling lighter than I have in years. Let them live with their choices, just like I had to live with mine. Miss Chen, my assistant, pokes her head in. The Disability Foundation is on line 1. They want to partner with Access Tech for a nationwide accessibility initiative. I catch my reflection in the office window, sitting straight in my wheelchair, surrounded by real family. Put them through. And that's not all, Sophia says, practically bouncing with excitement. Remember that investor your mom was crying to at the conference? Mr. Patterson. I raise an eyebrow. He wants to fund our new education program for disabled youth. Really? $10 million worth of really, Carl says, sliding over the proposal. He said, and I quote, "True family stands by you. Let's help kids who need that support." My eyes water as I read the details. A tech education center designed specifically for disabled youth. Scholarships, mentorship programs. Everything we dreamed of creating. You know what this means, I say, looking at my real family. We can help make sure no other disabled person feels as alone as I did. About that, Sophia says, pulling up a calendar. We've received hundreds of messages from disabled individuals sharing similar stories of family abandonment. They're asking for support groups, resources. Then let's give it to them, I decide. The center can have a community space too. No one should face this alone. Carl squeezes my shoulder. Mom and Dad thought they were ruining you by leaving. Instead, they made you stronger. No, I correct him, holding out my hands to my brother and best friend. You two made me stronger. They just made me angry. And now, I take a deep breath, the fire in my chest steady and bright. Now we're going to use that anger to help others rise. Sophia wipes her eyes, trying to look professional and failing. So, boss lady, ready to change more lives. Let's get to work, I say, pushing through the doors to our future. We've got people to help and lives to change. Some say success is the best revenge. I say using that success to help others is even better.